Hello, my friends. Have you ever avoided a person because you didn't know what to say? Maybe you walked away from a conversation. Why did I just say that? Or maybe you feel like nobody understands you. Well, you are in the right place. Welcome to Breaking Bad Communication, where we challenge the habits, headspace, and hangups that keep you from being heard. My name is Kathy Riley. I'm the founder of the Clarity Code and your guide with over 25 years in the courtroom and another 20 as an entrepreneur. But I'm only 29 years old, so you do the math. This podcast right here is your real world playbook for mastering tough conversations, building unshakable confidence, and showing up with the kind of clarity that changes everything from boardrooms to break rooms to your own backyard. So let's break bad together. And today I'm really excited because we have a special guest. We have a woman who not only knows a lot about energy, but also brings it. Miss Krista Igoe. Krista was raised in Long Island, New York. Okay, so she's a New Yorker. You guys got to watch out. Has lived in Texas, Southern California, Ohio, and Northern California before moving to Denver in 2007 with her husband and daughter. Her career begins in corporate administration, management, and sales, but she began her energy studies 34 years ago, working with various energy healing techniques. Then in 2008, she discovered Reiki, which totally shifted her life and began practicing professionally a year later. Always learning, Miss Krista became a master of several schools of Reiki. She also is a certified feng shui practitioner, psychic medium, and angel channel. She loves teaching Reiki and feng shui workshops. Krista's mission statement is to help heal the planet one person at a time, one heart at a time, through the practice and teaching of Reiki. Welcome, Miss Krista. I am so excited that you're here.
So am I. We talked about this months ago. I'm excited to be here.
It has been a long time coming because you and I have um, a few things in common, and that includes an infertility journey.
Hmm.
And you talk about it was a 9 year journey for you. Is that correct? It was 9 years.
Right.
Right. And so we talked about how it takes a lot out of you, and most humans really, really struggle talking about it. They don't know what to say. Like my family didn't know what to say. My spouse didn't really know what to say because it's a lot going on for the woman, but the husband's going through it too. My friends didn't. People don't know what to say. And then when there's a loss and all that, so there's so much. So my question for you, we'll start this off on this topic is, infertility and pregnancy loss are conversations so many people avoid because they just don't know what to say. And after your own experience, what do you think people most misunderstand about this experience?
Well, you're right. They don't know how to say. And my own brother and sister-in-law hid a pregnancy from me over Christmas. And I found out on Christmas Eve while we were cooking dinner in the kitchen, and my sister-in-law slipped and said something. And it just ruined Christmas Eve because they were pussyfooting around me. And they were going to wait till after Christmas. And I was furious because don't pussyfoot around me. But that's my personality. So oftentimes people don't know, is this someone I should be careful of, or is this someone I should be? I celebrated everybody else's pregnancy. It didn't bother me. That was their story. This was my story. But not everyone takes it that way. So I think a lot of people just don't know what they're up against, or how invalidating it really is as a woman. I think that was the biggest part. You feel like, how can everybody else do this so easily? Especially when you hear of a family with 9 children or something. And they're like little bunny rabbits, and it's like, but what's wrong with me? Why can't I? It's such a basic function of human behavior is to have babies. And So I think that's the part, is that people don't realize how you feel invalidated as a woman. Would you
Right.
agree on that?
I absolutely. And you're on the struggle bus. It's what's wrong with me? Why can't
Yeah,
I? Why can't I? Where everyone
yeah,
else is, the wind blows in the right direction and they're pregnant, and it didn't happen for me. But what I hear you saying is one of the things that people misunderstand is they walk on eggshells and avoid that conversation because they know that you're going through the struggle. So they don't talk to you about it.
right. They don't understand it, but again, they avoid it because they don't understand it.
And would it be fair to say, like, one of the greatest ways to break bad on this is just to say, to ask a question is, I don't want to ask you for the person that's, or the couple that's going through the infertility experience. I have some questions I'd love to ask you about. Do I have your permission, or would you rather us stay silent on the topic?
That's great. That's a great way. And we're, so I had my daughter 34 years ago, and times have changed so much. Whereas now we don't, we're respectful of women's choices whether or not to have children. So we don't ask a newlywed, when are you having children? That's such an old lady question, and we don't. We give them the space to decide, but then they reach a point where maybe they're going through something and we have no idea. So
Yeah,
it's, which side of that coin do you err on? and
right.
and so yes, to kind of bring that up in a gentle way and saying, hey, I'm asking out of curiosity, and because I care, and if you want to talk, great, and if you don't, then great.
I love it. Okay, so similarly, what would you say? Um, what does infertility or do emotionally to a person or couple over time, that most people don't understand?
Well, think about this. So here we are in this time where we're giving positive messages to everything we do. We are in a society where we're repeating affirmations, where we're building ourselves up, and yet this other side of us is negating all of that. I'm not good enough. We're not saying it out loud. We're putting on the stiff upper lip, where, clinging to hope. We know something will happen eventually, somehow, and yet there's this constant beating ourselves. And so it's a contrast, and we all know now, all these years later, of what those negative messages do to us. So a lot of times in my work, I'm helping remove, eh, one of the, I'm skipping thoughts here. One of the analogies I give is that we're all walking around like a block of Swiss cheese. We were once whole, but we've given away, or people have taken from us, or we've been invalidated, or we've been traumatized. It creates all those holes in us. So my work helps fill those holes. And so you become a block of, what do you want to be? Cheddar, Gouda, what do you want to be? Let's have some port wine, or some, let's have something exotic, a Cabernet wine or something. But you want to be solid,
Yeah.
because then it gets into the law of attraction. When you are whole and complete, when you're depleted, your vibrations here. When you're more whole and complete, your vibrations here. So what do you attract? You start attracting, maybe you start attracting the right medical professionals. Maybe you start attracting a better attitude. Maybe you start attracting someone who plays the angel in your life, who comes in and gives you emotional support when you need it. What is it you're attracting? Maybe the right doors can open for you, as well as maybe something wonderful happens on this journey, that you see it through fruition.
Oh, it's
So
so powerful. Yeah.
all of these energy modalities tie together, and that law of attraction is so powerful, but we have to be whole and complete.
Yeah, it's the simple phrase, like attracts like.
Yes,
Like attracts like. And
Right.
if you live it, you breathe it, you think it, you own it, like attracts like. And it's such a powerful thing that you're saying. So okay, going into Reiki, so for someone who's listening, okay, so for our audience who's heard of Reiki but doesn't really fully understand it, can you tell us a little bit more about what it is and explain, what you do? Because I know I've experienced it, but for those that haven't, can you dumb it down for us? Talk to us, sister.
Sure. I've had a lot of practice doing this. So, so I've got a pen here. If I drop this pen, what makes it fall? Gravity, right? What's coming through my window? Sunlight. We understand all these forms of energy because we were taught them in third grade. We've experienced them. What if in third grade we learned about some more esoteric forms of energy? Because Reiki is an energy modality that's been on the planet probably since the beginning of time. The name Reiki is a Japanese word, which behind me this says Reiki in Japanese kanji, is a compound word of Rei and Ki. Rei meaning universal, and Ki is life force energy. And so it was the Japanese gave it that name. But the ancient Egyptians showed in their hieroglyphics in the pyramids that they were using Reiki, that they were doing hands-on healing, that they were harnessing this energy. Every ancient culture on earth has had a way of harnessing this energy. Reiki is just a Japanese man 100 and something years ago, through his own spiritual quest, tapped into this energy and saw the light, and that was the name that was given at that point. Essentially, it's of high vibration. It's been proven. Stanford University has done some research where they've shown how this energy kind of comes in through our crown and comes out through our hands. I know you love horses. Horses, one of the reasons horses are so powerful is because they know how to harness Reiki. They often send it with their eyes. And that's why horses can be such healers. So there are different ways, but yes, it has been proven with photography, how this energy comes through with us. In a session, I can be hands-on, I can be a few inches off, I can work remotely because it's a energy can go through stainless steel and walls and time and space, just like prayer energy can. It's the same kind of, I joke and say it's the same superhighway that it travels on, but just to help people understand it. But what people feel, and my hands are always in neutral places, and people stay fully clothed. But what people feel, sometimes people just fall asleep because it puts you into a deep space, a deep meditative space. Sometimes people see colors. Sometimes people feel, there are times my hands are burning up hot and someone has said my hands are cold. I can't explain that. I don't know. It's just how it is perceived by them. I am simply the channel, the catalyst, the garden hose with the water running through me, because it's the recipient who is guiding. My hands, I may feel, oh, what's going on with your knee? And someone say, well, that's interesting because I fell last week, and I don't know, but I'm guided. I just feel the energy on somebody, um, and usually I'm right. Like, well, what happened here? And I did have a client come in one time with a broken arm, a tennis player, and was in a tournament and was wanting that cast off and wanting it to heal. And the arm's doing just fine. But what came up was her whole uterine area was just screaming at me for healing. And I said, I don't know what this is about. And she usually in the session, people start getting their truth. And she says, oh, I know. 20 years ago, my husband and I made a decision to not have children. And she was now in her mid 40s and she was kind of reevaluating that and
Uh,
feeling like, oh, how do I change my mind? How do I get him on board? And her body was screaming at her, the clock is running out. And so it was all that healing went, and it surprised the heck out of both of us. But that ended up being what was happening, was her body was not on board with that mental decision she made when she was 25.
Oh, this is so powerful because you mentioned horses, which I get. You mentioned vibrations. At the end of the day, we're all energy and vibration as a
Right,
human, right? Every piece of everything, it's all cellular. Cells are vibrating. Okay, we are all, everything is vibrating. If you get down to the nooks and crannies of it, we're all vibrating, which is energy.
right,
And so if we're holding on to negative, if and we don't even half the time we don't even know we're
right,
doing this.
right,
So in the techniques that you use, you help, and correct me if you help people, humans, release that stress, that trauma. It could be, PTSD. It could be an injury that happened. It could be something else that they don't even know, right?
right. Exactly. I mean, I've worked with women who seek the wrong kind of partner.
Mm.
And and then one client specifically comes to mind. She surfaced about a year ago. I hadn't seen her in about 6 years. I said, it's interesting, last time you were here, and she'd had about 5 sessions with me. I said, we were talking about how your relationships and how you kept finding the wrong kind of man. And this was a woman who couldn't go 24 hours without a man. If she dumped someone, within 24 hours there was someone new. And she says, oh, that's interesting, I have not had a date in 6 years. And it's like, whoa, I was grateful for the validation. I wondered why she stopped seeing me. But she basically didn't need it anymore. She worked through, and I won't get into the specifics of what her issue was. It goes back to daddy. But it's just amazing when we reach that point of healing something, we can move on. It's no longer toxic in our bodies. It's no longer something that can become a shoulder. A client lost her son, teenage drunk driving, and she had shoulder problems for years and years and years and years. In 2 sessions, we lifted that off. She every year at Thanksgiving time, which was when that happened, she would go into this, feel all of that again. She never had a problem again. And I saw her like 15 years ago. And it was just she took it on, literally the weight of the world on her shoulders.
And so here, okay, this is getting really good because I have a question. So you guys, as you're listening, to be sure to subscribe to this podcast because the goal here is to always give you information, tools, tips to adjust how you communicate, how you show up, because you're amazing and everybody needs to know it. So you need to be screaming it from the rooftops. So let me ask you this, Miss Krista. What makes us hold on to stuff? What do you think?
That's an interesting question. I would say it's because something isn't healed, it's unresolved. We walk this earth because we have lessons to learn. We have people come into our lives to teach us things, um, and the bad things, and the painful things. And we are human beings, and it's like, well, what do we do with it? And I was actually writing my next newsletter in the shower this morning, which is basically, when we heal ourselves, we heal the world, because it's a ripple effect. It is that, it, we heal ourselves. By healing ourselves, we heal our marriage, we heal our relationship with our children, or with a relationship with our parents, with our neighbors and with our coworkers, and then all of that, it just becomes a ripple. So,
So if we,
but
we were actually paying attention and stepping more into self-advocacy, paying attention to our body, to what I call the itty bitty shitty committee, the stress within it. If we are
right,
able to pay attention to that and take steps to resolve our world, our life, our success, our business, our family, all would be improved.
right. So going back to what you asked me something a few minutes ago that I want to get back to. Um, when we were talking about infertility, I wish I had known someone who knew Reiki at that time, because it just would have helped me get through all of that. I'm a stubborn New Yorker, and I knew it would happen someday. And, but I needed restoration. I needed um, to relieve the anxiety and all the treatments we were going through and everything else, and all the fears and all the financial concerns with everything we were going through. And then, so, helping people get through that stage, as well as sometimes the reason people are going through that is they've had past experiences with miscarriages or abortions. And no judgment here on that topic, but it's like, got to pull your energy back on that. One of my certifications is called Sacred Childbirth with Reiki. And when I took that class, something happened in that class with a student that we were working on, a fellow student. And all of a sudden I realized she was berating her husband for how he handled or didn't handle the miscarriage she was going through. And I started looking and I realized this young man was 28 years old. He had no clue what he was dealing with. And this was their first journey, trying to have a baby. And he was like a deer in the headlights. And there's no man coming up to him, putting their arm around him. Everything is focused on women. So men need to. I came home and I talked to my husband and I said, what did I miss with you? Everything was focused on me. And he kind of looked at me like, oh, this is a trick question. How do I answer this? And I'm not sure. I think we'll have this conversation over lunch, because I realize he never did answer that. But I think he suppressed it so much. But he had to be going through something too, and we focus on one partner, the obvious one, the female, but the men have issues too. And maybe the man came from a previous relationship where there was a miscarriage or an abortion. And they have unresolved issues around that. And let's work on it. Let's heal it. So, and then during pregnancy, it's a matter of maintaining. I worked with someone who was having in vitro for, I think this was her third round, but she was born with only so many eggs. So she was down to less than a dozen eggs left. And
Wow.
so her window of opportunity was closing. And it was just more, let's keep her stable. Let's keep her calm. Let's release the anxiety. Let's fill her up. Let's give the baby Reiki. My little grandson, I would feel him move into my hand when I put my hands on my daughter's belly, and that little baby, and when he was born and we saw him in the hospital, and I picked him up and I activated my hands, and his little newborn eyes went, I know you, and then they closed again. It's like, oh, you're the Reiki lady. So
Oh, you're bringing tears to
they
my
feel
eyes.
it, they
Awesome.
get into it. But anything we can do to help make that a healthy pregnancy. And then after pregnancy, post pregnancy, those hormones are all over, and every woman reacts differently, as well as the fatigue and your body trying to get back to normal, as well as whatever. My mother died 2 weeks after my daughter was born. I wish I had someone who knew Reiki at that point. And because I had to journey that all by myself, being 3,000 miles away from my family, and it was so hard. Um, but anything we can do to rebuild ourselves helps us cope with all the shifts and changes through all that whole postpartum period as well.
Yeah. Powerful. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And for those of you that are listening and think, well, this is kind of woo-woo. I got to tell you, first of all, that was me over a decade ago. Well, actually, I used my daughter's 20 and did Reiki and acupuncture and everything. And I have a very vibrant 20-year-old. I have two losses, so I have two babies in heaven, but I do have one very healthy, wonderful girl. So I'm a very lucky mama. But I'm telling you that these things help. And they changed my world. So I am a mom because of this. But here's the thing here, and I'll share a little bit of a story. So a couple months ago, I was doing a training for a surgical team. And it was a corporate training, and they had me come in and we were talking about burnout, right? Overwhelm, burnout, and all this stuff. And so we had this whole program put together on, how do you avoid it? How do you navigate it? What's a couple things you can do? And within the first 15 minutes, I could see the glaze go over this team's eyes, like, and paying attention to nonverbal communication. I'm like, okay, what's going, and I stopped. I'm like, something's going on here. And they're like, we're way past this. Like they were done. And so I had said, okay, look, I'm gonna finish this presentation. I'm gonna crank through it. Most of it just good, good, good. And then we spent the last 30 minutes just talking. So we basically had a coaching counseling session. And this team was so overwhelmed, overwhelmed, like breaking apart. We had lots of tears, we had frustration, all of this, and it was this big release, which is what they needed more than anything. And to all understand that the entire team was feeling this way because nobody talked to each other. They had no idea. So we did all of that, right? We get this all together, and then I helped a fraction. So they need a lot of help. So with that, okay, I come home. The next day, I have this pain in my shoulder, like, and I've had this pain before, and I'm like, okay, so I have a massage therapy appointment 2 days later, and I'm like, I can't wait to. So I go into my massage lady who also does Reiki, and I'm like, honey, yeah, there's this spot right here. And she's like, holy crap. So we start talking about this. All of a sudden, she's just like, what else is going on? And so I explained this training that I just did. And in doing that, and her doing the energy work that she did, there was this huge that I felt.
Because you took it all on.
I integrate. I'm, a bit of an empath, right? Because I
Right,
I I have emotions.
right,
It's and I was holding on to it
right.
because I just felt so, I felt responsible, and I wanted to help as much as I could, and I know I didn't help that much. And I wanted to do more, and I was holding on to that. It manifested in a pain in my shoulder blade, in the backside. And then
Which is
once
usually responsibility.
my lady, we were massaging because she works on a couple other things. She uses electric. Good Lord, she hurts me so good. But she's like, well, this, I can do some Reiki on you. And I'm like, if it's going to get rid of it, do it. And she did. And literally, I was like, I went home and I was like, I felt lighter. I felt
Yes,
amazing. And the
right,
pain that had manifested was gone.
right.
And so it's such a powerful, powerful tool that you bring to the table. So if you guys are listening to this, right, this isn't make believe. This is true. This is energy. This is vibration. So let me ask you this, as we're wrapping up here. If someone is listening today and they feel alone in their journey right now, whether it's infertility, whether it's stress, whether it's something that's happened with work or with a relationship, a loss.
Grief, grief
What,
is a big
yeah,
one.
grief is
Divorce,
huge. What
divorce.
what do you want them to hear today?
That there's another way. I never professed to be the be all end all. We are living in 2026 is an amazing time because there are so many modalities out there and so many more people who are open to it, who have heard what 18, 20 years ago I had to explain what Reiki is. Now it's like I can say the word Reiki, and even if someone doesn't understand it, but feel something that feels right for you. If you ask the universe to, like, which direction should I go, you're probably within 24, 48 hours going to get the right answer. But just be aware that work with someone who is well trained, work with someone who understands boundaries. My philosophy is when I release something, I fill it up again. And I always tell people, make sure you're working with someone who fills it up again. I have had to do damage control on people who come in because they're still empty and emptier than they were because they released but didn't fill up again. Because Nature abhors a vacuum, so just it's all physics. All of this is physics.
Yes.
um, so, and conventional physics is proving metaphysics every day. They're learning how to tap into all of this. So I had an argument with a physicist about that one, but
Oh,
so,
this is so
but
good.
it's just be aware. So Reiki is one way, and again, it's been around. It's very gentle. People, 99% of the time, a session is so gentle, and easy and effortless. And then that extra 1%, it might be sobbing, it might be whatever, but it's over.
Yeah.
Then it's temporary. So,
It's a heck of a lot less painful than acupuncture, I will say that. But I've done that too. So love
but
it, love it all.
acupuncture has its place too. We're a physical body.
Yes. Yes.
And acupuncture kind of works the same thing. They work meridians, which are energy
Yes.
centers in the body. So it's just, Reiki is another way where we're working on the energy centers,
I love
so
it. Yes, yes, yes. So powerful. So, how can people, if someone's listening and they want to get to know you, Miss Krista, or they want more information from you, they want to follow you, stalk you, where do you want to send them?
stalk me. Please don't stalk me.
I say that in a very gentle and loving
Unless you're
way.
bringing me flowers
I
or
like
a winning lottery
stalkers.
ticket.
Come find me on LinkedIn. I love stalkers. So, but you do
so
you. Okay, no
so yes.
stalkers.
So I don't know. Do you post my website on there, or do I need to say it out
Yes.
loud too?
So your
Okay.
website will be in the notes.
Right. So, I'm in the Denver area. Most people prefer an in-person hands-on session, but I work remotely also. And there are many people who live in smaller communities who don't have access to healers within a X amount radius that works for them. So, by all means, contact me. I will offer a 10% discount if you mention this podcast. So
Lovely.
yeah, so a 10% discount on that. But if I'm not the person for you, that's fine. We all have to go with who resonates, whether it's your dentist or your doctor or your house painter or whoever it is. You can just Google Reiki near me, Reiki near me, and see who surfaces up. And then just check, just does someone resonate with you? Do they feel right for you? Um, how to, again, check into their qualifications. How long have they been practicing? What levels. I do Usui Reiki, which is kind of the standard, but I also do Karuna Reiki and Angelic Reiki and Holy Fire Reiki. So it's a big backpack that I have tools in.
Yeah.
So just look at, many of us do other different things. Some of my friends do sound healing as well. So just look at what resonates.
Awesome. And if I'm seeing this correctly, your website is revivewithreiki.com.
Correct.
Okay, my friends. So
Yes.
as you're listening, it's in the show notes, right? So you're going to get that, but it's revivewithreiki.com. So that will get you in touch with Miss Krista here. So, okay, as we're wrapping up, I wish to ask you a couple little popcorn style questions just so the audience gets to know you just a little bit more. This is
Okay.
fun. This is off topic. We're switching gears.
Is
Um,
there butter on that popcorn?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Lots of that actually would be a really good question to add to this. So, how do you take your popcorn? All right. So, do you consider yourself a morning or night person?
I'm kind of both.
Yeah.
I'm rarely in bed before 11:30, and yet when the alarm goes off in the morning, I'm up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
So,
that's
yes.
kind of a
Are
hard
you a morning
question.
or night? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Coffee or tea?
Oh, it depends. Coffee in the morning. In the wintertime, about 4 o'clock is my cup of tea, and I've got a closet full of different herbal teas.
Oh, I love that. I don't meet a lot of people who are both. So, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Sweet or salty?
I shouldn't have as much sweet as I do, but I have grown more to salty, but I also love the combination.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's true.
Whoever came up with that one, that's like the old peanut butter and chocolate thing where they meet in the elevator. You got chocolate on my peanut butter and peanut. Whoever came up with the salt and sweet. Woo.
Yeah. All right. So if you were to have your most favorite meal, right, is your dinner, whatever, would it be what you cook at home or home cooking, depending on whether your spouse cooks, or do you go out to a restaurant?
Oh, absolutely go out.
Yeah.
I learned that in my corporate years when I didn't get home till 7. It was like, what the heck are we eating? It's like I my husband indulged and it's a bad habit.
No, I mean, so for me, I enjoy the cooking, but I got to tell you, if I really want to enjoy the meal, I go out because I don't want to clean.
Well, I enjoy
Right?
cooking when we have company because
Yeah.
that's fun. Then it's
Yeah.
creative. Then I'm making something different, and then it's the oohs and ahs. This tastes good. But on a
Yeah.
daily basis, we
Yeah.
had grilled
Okay.
cheese the other night.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So when you're reading books, is it paper, Kindle, or Audible?
Not Kindle. I do a combination of paper and audio because
Okay.
I listen a lot while I'm folding laundry or while I'm gardening or while I'm driving. Um, but I love holding a book.
Yeah. Yeah. Beach or mountains?
I'm sorry.
Beach or
Oh,
mountains?
mountains,
Mount.
forest. I need the negative ions. Yeah, I like the beach, but I'm not a sun worshiper. I'm not, but the mountains, trees, that's my thing.
Oh, yeah. And that's part of the reason why Colorado is such a wonderful home for you.
Right.
Okay, entertainment. Would you watch a movie or a series?
Oh, both.
Both?
Yeah. Yeah. The summertime is now we're catching up with movies, but we're series people as well.
What's
But I have to finish them up because I wake up at 3 in the morning trying to solve them. Why did the character do this and why how is this going to wrap up and this character came in, there
Oh,
was one, and it's like, shut up, we got to watch the next episode.
I love it. I love it. All right. So if you were to move, are you a walker or a run kind of person?
Oh, Walker.
You're a
I've
walker?
never been a runner.
Yeah. So on the phone, do you talk or text?
I would much prefer talking.
You prefer talking.
Yeah.
You know, so what I'm finding, and I think this is really, really cool, is there's a movement in the last 6 months. More and more people are calling versus texting.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Because I can't, I'm an energy person, I can't interpret someone's tone in a text.
True.
Texting leads to, I try to convey this to my daughter because being a millennial, it's text, text, text. And it's like, once again, you got in trouble because you're texting. Pick up the phone and speak to somebody. You get
Yeah.
two-way conversation. You can hear. And then I joke sometimes, like, oh, I forgot to use my humor font. I wish, because you can't tell. Some jokes fall flat because you can't, like, no, I was joking. I was kidding. It's like, why did you say that? Yeah, it's like, it was a joke. If we'd heard a voice, we would understand that.
Right. That
So I'm glad
tonality
to hear the
doesn't come
pendulum, the
across.
pendulum swinging. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last question. Dog or cat?
Oh, absolutely, cat. I grew up
Oh,
with dogs, but yeah, cats. We're cat people.
okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. Is there any last little tidbit? If there's one golden nugget you want people to hear today, what would that be?
Just keep the faith. We're moving into a beautiful, wonderful world. Things that are falling apart right now is because we need the shifts and change. The energy on the planet is moving in a positive direction, and don't resist it. Just allow it.
Oh,
It's all
good.
good. Keep focused on a beautiful golden future.
Yes. Love it. And thank you all for tuning in to Breaking Bad Communication. If today's episode sparked a new perspective or gave you a system or tool that you can actually use, which yes, it did, well, then that's the kind of conversation we absolutely love. Remember, to be a powerful communicator, it's not about saying more. It's not. It's about saying what matters with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Until next time, remember your voice matters. Keep showing up, keep speaking up, and let's keep breaking bad together.